All right. Good afternoon, colleagues, and thank you for joining us for this very short briefing that follows a stock-taking plenary on day 5 of INC 5.2. So briefing you today and taking a couple of questions, we have Ms. Inge Anderson, who is the Executive Director of the UN Environment Programme, UNEP, and we have the Chair of the INC, Ambassador Luis Vallas Valdivieso. I'll start with brief remarks from you, Madam Executive Director.
Thank you very much, and good afternoon to members of the press. Let me just say that what we heard in the plenary is that countries are very keen to continue the work. And yes, we had all hoped, of course, and this is what you heard from member states, that discussions would be further along. The contact groups have assembled the text as they were asked to do, and the chair has issued that. Let that not be too influential here, because this is sort of taking a snapshot at a moment in time. And whilst lots of additional text is added, that's part of the journey in any negotiations process. So I'd like to say that despite the fog of negotiations, I'm really encouraged by the way in which these contact groups have been working and countries have been working together, especially in the informals and the informal informals. And obviously, it is very critical that informal conversations continue this afternoon. I think we can say that there was consensus in the plenary that we need to speed up this pace. And I think the chair has put forward some clear suggestions, including that he supports his co-chairs, that they continue the work in the contact groups, and also about his intentions to continue convening bilaterals to assist in this matter. As we all work in the multilateral space, we know that trust and inclusivity and transparency is key. And I'd like to add that actually this is really within our grasp. And even though in the fog of today it might not look so for somebody who's been on this journey for 40 years plus, I can tell you that this is within grasp. The window remains open to leave Geneva with this treaty. We've had 3 years of hard work behind us, and there is a pathway to success. But we need to see a cadence shift. But during such complex times in which we're living, we can't take for granted where we're at right now. And we've heard countries loud and clear before Geneva saying, we are going to Geneva with the intent of coming out of Geneva with a treaty. Few critical days ahead for member states. The ball is firmly in their court. Negotiations are not easy, but they can deliver. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Anderson. Over to you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon. So nice to see you all. Thank you for being here. Well, I would like to add a couple of things. The first one is that we are seeing progress. We have seen the contact groups working, negotiating, and also going in the way to clean text. We have sent 2 articles. Well, it was the 2 articles that we saw on the first day of negotiations that they have been sent to the legal drafting group. If you ask me, I will have liked to see more articles at this stage to be sent to the legal drafting group, but we start with those. We see a group of articles with a different level of convergence, yes, but with a high level of convergence too. That hopefully soon we can also do the same and send to the legal drafting groups those articles. And then we still have some articles with differences, with a lack of convergence that we need to work and find also the way to make it work and to have a clean text by the 14th of August. In plenary this morning, we stocktake of the work of those contact groups from the co-chairs, and they have done a wonderful job, also the co-chairs in the contact groups, also working with informals or informals, countries also organizing themselves to have meetings, which I have encouraged. That's important that countries are meeting, countries not only negotiating in the contact groups, but also working and meeting, discussing and negotiating in informal settings. That's happening. The way forward is quite important. As I said, we have seen progress in the contact groups. I completely agree with, actually, I have heard from all the countries that I have met, all delegates I have met, that we need to accelerate, that we need a better rhythm in this, and we need to also work in such a way that it will be clear that we will deliver by the end of 5.2. So we will keep working on in the contact groups. We will keep working in the manner that also we need to empower and give capacity that they have, the co-chairs, also to come with text proposals that will help us bridge positions, find common grounds, and identify landing zones. We need those work with the co-chairs, and also keep working in those informals. From my side, as chair, I have said that I will support, I've been supporting, of course, permanently the work of the co-chairs, but also identifying those articles that still, we see open issues there. Also to work in informal setting from my side as chair with different delegations, also to make it work, to find that common ground, to find those landing zones that we want to bring into the contact groups, and then later on to the plenary to agree and to have a clean text by the end of the session. I will stop there, but happy to receive also your questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chair. We'll take just a few questions. As you can imagine, schedules are packed. As usual, please introduce yourself before you ask a question. We have one over here.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me? I'm Isabelle Malsan from Agence France Presse. I'm not sure I see the new dynamic in the negotiations. Can you tell a little bit more about what you really are changing in the process?
Thank you very much. Well, we have seen that dynamic has been progressing also during the days. What we saw the first day on Tuesday in the contact groups is different of what we saw last night, for instance, where countries are meeting, in different informals and informals, also to work with their proposals, with their suggestions of advancing in the contact groups. So dynamic has been progressing, also being more discussions in the contact groups, and I am going to focus now in this starting today and tomorrow. Tomorrow is a day without a schedule, so we don't have formal meetings, but that doesn't mean that we won't be working. We will be working, and we will work very hard. We will have consultations with the states, and I'm going to focus those consultations in specific articles that are still open issues. So that's a difference. We have worked before, yes, with consultations, general ones, also supporting the co-chairs, but now in coordination, permanent coordination that we do have with the co-chairs, daily meetings, but is more than one meeting a day with them, also identifying those issues, not only the articles that we have identified some time ago, but identifying the issues, the elements on those articles that could help us reach positions, but also to identify elements that are putting the delegations apart, to work with us. So in that work with the co-chairs, together coordinating with me as chair, we identify those situations, those issues, and work with the specific delegations to advance in the process. And I have mentioned also in plenary this morning, we are ready to have a plenary session, actually at any time except tomorrow, that it will be also important to have such a meeting if it's needed with a specific purpose. For instance, to send more articles, clean text to the legal drafting group. Thank you.
Thank you. We have a question from a colleague online, Laurent Sierro from the Swiss News Agency. Over to you.
Yeah, thank you for the press conference. Important members of the like-minded group like Saudi Arabia and Iran this morning in the plenary clearly said that they would like now to see what should not be in the treaty being in a way withdrawn from the negotiations, and bottom line, Article 6. I think Saudi Arabia clearly mentioned Article 6. So you say treaty is still within grasp, but is an ambitious and efficient treaty still within reach? Thank you.
When I say it's within grasp, it's exactly because it is within reach. A treaty that would be strong and it would have a strong participation basis. I think there was a member state from one of the Pacific Islands, and I forget who said, don't have the situation where you go first, no, you go first, no, you go first, in the compromise conversation. Now, I'm not saying which would be the compromises, but it is critical when you're negotiating that countries, and I'm talking here to all the members of this member state-enabled negotiation, that they begin to talk about what it looks like in terms of compromise. And it is obviously critical that the treaty be effective, that it ends plastic pollution, including in the marine environment, but that, I believe, is actually absolutely within grasp. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We have we have Laura here in the room. Please introduce yourself.
Thank you, Laura Mercier for French Media Context. Ministers will start to arrive, I think, Tuesday. What needs to happen before they get here? Where do we need to be on Tuesday when ministers arrive for it to be effective and lead to a potential deal at the end? Thank you.
Ministers will arrive. As you know, there will not be a formal ministerial segment. However, ministers will be participating in a number of informal discussions around this, and I'm sure that they will also be meeting with their respective delegations. I don't think that there's a set point at which the negotiations on the one side have to arrive at the time of the minister's arrival. What I would say is, reflecting what the chair just said, we need to see the speed accelerate, irrespective of who's arriving when, because we are counting the days, and because listening to all of the interventions today, that was a common theme, irrespective of what group that particular speaker formed part of. But having said that, the ministers, and I'm sure you've been briefed on the number of ministers and vice ministers who are set to come. It's a significant number, and we're very happy with such strong sign-up. And we believe that ministers' presence and their dialogue amongst each other, in part on what they've already done and in part on what they wish to do, will certainly help shine a light on this important challenge, the challenge of plastic pollution.
Thank you. We have one more online. I think it'll be the last one we take. Satoko Adachi from Yomiuri Shimbun.
Yes, thank you very much for doing this. I have two questions to the INC chair. When are you going to have the next plenary meeting? And secondly, how are you going to tackle the issue of the scope and Article 6, given the divergent views among member states? Are you waiting until the contact group will produce some kind of new document or text on scope and Article 6? Thank you.
Thank you very much for the questions. About the first one, plenary session can be convened any date except tomorrow. I don't think we will need a plenary session, for instance, on Monday, or not at least Monday until afternoon or evening, but we heard also some proposals, some ideas today in plenary also about that we could benefit from a plenary session maybe on Monday evening or Tuesday. That could be a possibility also to stocktake the work from the contact groups, thinking that Thursday, August 14, is the last day of our negotiations. And about scope and Article 6, where actually those ones are those issues that goes into this basket that is still, with open issues with pending also to bridge positions that also I will be discussing in my consultations with delegations. It doesn't mean that negotiations will stop about those articles or about those aspects in the contact groups. Negotiations will keep going on, with the support also of the consultations that I will have, that I will have with some members. Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry, just one more over here, Robin.
Hello, Robin Millard from AFP. Which articles do you see as being the most challenging, let's put it that way, at the moment? And on those, I mean, how can you practically go about bridging those gaps? You've just outlined the articles and where the countries are furthest apart. Thank you.
That's a tricky question. Thank you. Because I tell you, since yesterday afternoon, well, we know all the articles, how they are now being dealt in the different contact groups, but also to identify in those three categories the articles, it is not easy. It is not easy also to see, well, the first one is that's the easy one, but to identify those articles that are clean and to be sent to the legal drafting group is not a big issue. The second category, those ones that has a high level of convergence, or we see that those ones could be clean soon, or it looks like that in the negotiations also. It has been a lot of progress yesterday, for instance, in the afternoon and also in the evening in the informals and informals settings. But articles are linked to each other, and some articles are more linked than others. Everything is linked in the text, of course. But so we need to consider that the moment we have our negotiations. So, for instance, the two aspects that we mentioned before with the question before, for instance, could be, discussed with delegations at the same time, or it's like that, as I said, articles are linked and how to discuss. That's why it's very important for me to keep talking permanently with the co-chairs, identifying those articles or those issues within the articles, because parts of the articles could be going in a good speed and going well in the negotiations. But there are some issues within those articles that we need to tackle. So identifying those aspects with the co-chairs permanently, with my contact with the co-chairs, it's important also to discuss in these informal settings that I will carry on as chair of the process. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So we do need to stop it here now. Thank you all for your time. Our speakers, members of the media, our UNIS colleagues, and on a Saturday, no less. We are available should you need us. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you.